Hello, everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started because I don't want to take away any time from Bill's presentation because I got to hear it before and it was amazing, which is why I invited him to come speak tonight. And just a quick talk about some partners that help organize it. Friends of the Environment Knockety Resident Club, and myself, Dee Omahen. I'm a green realtor. And CJ, can you go to the next slide? Really quickly, a green realtor. I'm someone who's a green home advocate, and I actually have a certification from National Association of Realtors on green homes, so I can help people with how to green their home and also how to find a new high performance home. Next slide. And for people that are looking for local clubs to join, Friends of the Environment, it's a Knockety resident club, but anybody can join. And our goal is to educate the community about the environment we live in and how to protect it. And you can follow us on Facebook. And we do have events and hikes and beach cleanups. Next slide. And I also wanted to shout out to Sierra Club, the Northeast Florida chapter. They help spread the word about our program tonight, and you can find them on Facebook. And they also do outings and offer educational programs. Okay, so let's jump in and introduce Bill. Oh, and some housekeeping. We are recording this, and we are going to be answering questions throughout the presentation and at the end of the presentation. So you are all muted, and feel free to post that in the chat box. So now I'm going to introduce Bill Ketchman. He is the Vice President for Florida Green Building Coalition. And he's the new president-elect, good for you, starting in January. He's also a certifying agent and a Water Star certified. So please give me a round of applause for Bill.
Thank you, Dee. Can everybody see me okay? Because I can only still see Dee on here. I had to switch computers. Everything's IT related nowadays. The word sustainability is a word we hear tossed around a lot out there in the industry. And it basically is, we could think of it as meaning status quo to our environment. It's the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level, or as in the sustainability of economic growth, or the avoidance and depletion of the natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. Why is this important to us? Next slide. Our Florida population has grown by 1.77% between April 1st of 2018 and April 1st of 2019 to 21,208,589 people. A lot of people in the state of Florida, adding 368,000 residents. Over the next 5 years, Florida's population growth is expected to increase by 1.3%, but still average 1.5%. Lately, we're seeing a raise to that because a lot of people from up north are deciding to move to Florida because of taxes, weather, and things of that, and we could probably see that increase. But it's approximately 1,000 new residents a day. The avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. Here in Florida, that means water, air, food, fuel, and materials. Water, very important for our drinking and everything else. Our air, what we breathe every day, the food that we intake, fuel that has to be imported in here for all the necessary things because we don't produce our own fuel, and most of our materials have to come from out of state. So if we keep depleting the natural resources, we won't be able to maintain a level that we're used to now. Next slide. So what can we do? Stop growth? Close the border? That's not possible. Import resources? We're already importing resources. The roads are crowded with trucks out there. Boats are clogged up in our ports over in Tampa. So importing more resources is going to be hard, or just forget about it. That's not a good solution. Why should I do anything? You can lower your monthly energy and water bills, which saves you money that you may need in other places. You can lower your homeowner's insurance, which is a big thing here in Florida. We have one of the highest homeowner insurance rates in the nation. You can improve your indoor air quality. That makes you healthier and it's easier to live. Improve durability. The longer something lasts, the less time that the less money you have to spend in replacing it, and the less resources in creating a new piece, and the less waste that we have to take care of in our landfills. Less maintenance costs. If something's done better, you don't have to work on it as often. That gives you your weekends free to do something with your family or yourself that you want to do. Greater access to mortgage money. Better house you have, the better less resources you use, and in a greener house, we're finding new mortgage money available out there at lower interest rates. Increased value for resale. We're going to show you some things that make your house more valuable as a greenhouse, so that when you go to sell it, you can make more, you get more money, and maybe be able to buy even a greener house. This slide's real busy. I'm going to try to explain it some, but at the end, you'll see our website. You can find it underneath our the column, and I forget which column it is, but it's under the education column, and they'll show this, and there's a brochure in there that explains it. But basically, we're talking about a house as a system, and not just the house itself, but the land that it sits on and the way it's used in the environment around you. We hear a lot about solar nowadays. It's a way of reducing your energy costs. The cost to put it in is very expensive, and you have to make sure that you hire a contractor that's going to install it right, so that you don't ruin the warranty on your roof and have to replace your roof down the line, which is one of the more expensive things you can do. We want to talk about colors. We talk about light colors. Why are light colors important in a house? We see a lot of homes out here with dark shingles in the state of Florida. Seem to be very, very popular. Dark absorbs energy. It absorbs heat. So it's going to cost you more to cool your house if you have a roof that's dark, if you have a house that's painted dark. So we promote using light colors. The trees around your house, making sure that you get deciduous trees, making sure they're far enough away from the house that they're not going to destroy your foundation, but can shade your house and cool your house in summertime to reduce your energy bills. Your HVAC system, one of the biggest parts of the cooling and heating of your home. The higher the energy efficiency it is, the less money it's going to cost you over the time. The better the system it is, the longer it'll last you and not have to be replaced down the line. Looking at things inside your house, like the painting and colors and your wood and carpet and things like that, making sure they're low or zero VOC for your flooring and all your materials in there. Why is that important? VOCs are off-gassing that can harm you. If you have asthma, it can make asthma worse. If you have other sicknesses, it can make you worse. So looking for the labels that show you that you have low or zero VOC in those items are something you want to look for. Central dehumidification systems. Here in Florida, especially like right now where it's a little bit cool out, you're locked up inside. If your house is absorbing a lot of humidity and it's not venting outside, you need a way of getting rid of it, or you can create mold in there and it'll make you sick again. Rainwater collection. That's something that we're looking at a lot. Water is a very, very hard resource here in Florida, and it's getting harder and harder the more people that get in here. We only have so much water in our aquifers, and they're not refilling. Most of our water is running off of houses or going in the sewers and being flushed out in the ocean or into the lakes, and they're not getting back down the aquifers. If you have a nice garden and everything, if you rain collection barrels, you collect water and do your gardening with that. You can water your grass with it. You can use it for other resources. We started pressing here in Florida back before we had all the metropolitan areas, and we had water at the tap coming in the house. People used to have cisterns, and they used the cisterns for all their drinking water and watering needs and everything. We're looking at ways to go back to that system by having cisterns. Down in Key West, the Key West Municipal Building actually had a gigantic cistern underneath the building. Nobody knew it was there. They found it, they cleaned it out with a special 3-part filtration and a UV light system on it to kill bacteria. They're actually using it for drinking, for flushing their toilets, for cleaning and everything else in landscape that they're building without having to use any municipal water, just the rainwater we get. So there are a lot of different things that we can look at in your house as a system to make it better and function more efficiently for you, healthy for you, and be more durable. Next slide.
Bill?
Yes.
We did have a question. They asked, what is VOC? And I wrote it out, but I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Volatile organic compounds. And basically, we're talking about the biggest one is formaldehyde. When you used to get carpet, you could always smell it. You buy a new car, you see that new car smell, that's formaldehyde being off-gassed out to it. Formaldehyde can kill you, but in the doses you get, it can make you sick. If you've got asthma, it can really hurt you badly. And there's other chemicals like that. So we're looking at those VOCs, or special compounds in the making of it. Good enough? Good answer? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
These are all not new questions. In the early 70s, when I was a youngster and in high school, I used to go out in West Palm Beach and go down to the inlet and take water samples because we were worried about the water pollution that we were getting in the inlet and everything else. Pollution was a big thing back then. Population growth was a big thing like that. It kind of disappeared over the ages. The new millennium, those questions are coming back again. About 20 years ago in FGBC, a group of us got together and we looked to provide some solutions to the problem. We're a coalition of builders, people are concerned about the environment, people are concerned about the education and health of our state, and then some people like me I was a builder, and also I was born and raised here in Florida, and I'd like to see old Florida come back. That would probably never happen, but I'd like to see it not go any further downhill. We've also, started pushing some lobbying up and visiting up in Tallahassee so that we can talk to some of our representatives up there and make them more aware of the system and better ways of building. And it has helped. We're starting to get our foot in the door a little bit and talk with those people. And hopefully over the next couple of years, we can get a better reputation and a better, be able to pick up the phone when we call up there. And we're partnershiping with other like-minded organizations because strength in numbers for getting the ideas out here. What do? We are a green certification organization. We look at energy, water, lot choice, site, health, materials, disaster mitigation in general, and I'll talk to those a little bit more. What does that do for you? We certify new homes, multifamily projects, high-rise, commercial, land development, local government, and hotels. And recently, we just went over 24,000 certifications. We're the largest green certifier in the state of Florida. We only certify in the state of Florida. A certified home uses less energy, water, is healthier, Florida friendly, and is built stronger. Aren't there any other certification organizations? Yes, there's many of them out there, but most are national and international. We look at what's good for Florida and what we face as Floridians, not what Dubai faces or Michigan faces or California faces. There's differences everywhere. We look at specific to our state. It's a unique environment. This year, how many hurricanes came through? We were close targets of. The Panhandle got hit again. We got lucky here in the mainland part, but few other places have that kind of environment. We also use hands-on inspectors that go in and verify all the things, and we have a third-party verifier that checks those certifications. A lot of organizations don't. They just sign the paper and it becomes green. I already own a home. What can I do? Well, we can increase decrease your energy use. A HERS inspection, which is a home energy rating system, can come in and tell you what the actual performance of your house is. Not a guess at it, but an actual, verification of what your house is doing and where you can make improvements. We look at the HVAC system, not just the efficiency of it, but making sure it's sized properly for the use at your home. We look at windows to make sure the most energy efficient windows, and we're also looking at the structure of the windows now to make sure that they'll stand up during a hurricane. The high impact windows and the pressures that put on them. The lights in your house, which you use all the time, but you can reduce your energy there. Colors, as I explained before, we're looking at lighter colors that will be pleasant, but they'll reduce your energy usage in a home. The roof of your home, which is very important, we want to make sure that it's structurally on properly and made of a material and a color that's going to last you a lifetime. The appliances you use in your house, which we'll talk about a little bit, and Energy Star, which is a very important factor. Weatherizing your home. You can always do things to lower the energy costs in your electric bill in the house. One of them is insulation. You can't open up the walls unless you're doing a major restructure, but you can go up in the attic and look to see what your insulation looks like. You can look to see if it's very, very dense or if it's very little in there. If it's very little in there, you probably need more insulation. There are several inexpensive ways, blow-in cellulose that you can get into and get up to an R38 factor, which will really make a difference in your electric bill. We're pushing away from fiberglass because if you ever do have a moisture leak or anything, fiberglass will grow mold in it. So we like to stay with cellulose if possible. Energy Star lights, CFLs and LEDs. A few years ago, we didn't push LEDs because they were so expensive. The cost has really greatly come down. LEDs are the lowest cost light source that you can use in your house. Replacing 75% of them in your house will save you on your electric bill. Appliances. Look at your appliances. If you're thinking about buying a new appliance, replacing a stove or refrigerator or a television set, look to make sure that it's got an Energy Star label on it, and that you're getting the best bang for your buck on that, and try to replace it with a new one. Windows. Here in Florida, I can remember as a kid, we had jalousie windows. I don't know if any of you know that, but they're slatted glass. In the wintertime, cold. In the summertime, hot, easy to break, always leaked, always got moisture in it. Windows are greatly improved now. Check the seals around your window, make sure they're caulked regularly. Right now is a good time to check your windows. If you put your hand around the windows, see if you get any breezes blowing in through it. With the cold winds, you can tell real quick. You can find out where it's leaking and try to seal that up, make it more energy efficient. Programmable thermostats, the bones and enemy of all old people trying to program anything electronic nowadays. But they do have ones, and most all of them now have come with an Energy Star setting. If you're not going to be in the house for 8 hours during the day, you're out working or volunteering or do something, you can put it on the Energy Star setting, and that will reduce your energy by about 30 to 40% on your house. Very good things to use. New water heaters. If you need a new water heater, go out and look for some of the new hybrid water heaters. They've gotten real efficient. The costs are coming down. Big bang for your buck. Next slide, please. You have any other questions you want me to answer before I get into energy? Okay.
Oh, here's something.
All right.
I own an apartment. They have their own rules, but what can I do to increase efficiency?
Good question. Talk to your landlord. A lot of times, if you'll do the work, but they'll buy the material, they'll be willing to work with you to do something like painting the house. It's got dark walls inside, paint it a lighter color. It'll improve your attitude inside the house, and it'll reduce that heat gathering in there. Same thing, cellulose. You can rent the machine from Home Depot and Lowe's and blow it in yourself. It's not that hard to do. If he'll pay for the material and you do the work, sometimes you can get some of these things and reduce your energy costs. Plus, it's only benefiting him or her down the line. So talk to your landlord. A lot of times you can work with them to do something.
I have a question for you, Bill.
Yeah.
So my house, the attic, we have a David Weekley home, and they sealed everything up in the attic with, I don't even know what to call it, like silver paneling. Mm-hmm. Is it energy efficient to put that over the insulation?
We install it on the rafters themselves, and I'll get to that in energy. I'll show it to you. If it's installed over the insulation, I don't think it's doing you as much good as if it was installed on the wood surface itself underneath your roof. And I'll show you a picture of that, and I'll discuss that coming up here in a minute.
Great, thanks.
Level 1, energy, windows. One of the things that you can do without having to replace your window, if you don't have the money or anything right now, is you can put a window tint on it to decrease the heat gain coming in. These reflective films that are out there will reflect energy back, and it will reduce the heat transmitted into the house and the heat absorbed by the window. So there are some less expensive ways of getting more energy efficient. Next slide. Increase the attic insulation to a minimum of R38. On the package, it will tell you how deep you have to get, and it's real easy. Stick a ruler in there, blow it till you come to the marking on that, and you'll get to R38. The looser the insulation, the better it's going to work. You don't want to pack insulation down tight. You won't get the effect as having air in it and circulating around it will keep mildew out of your attic, and it will also create a better insulation energy blanket for you. Next slide. We already talked about CFLs and LEDs. 75% of light bulbs will compact fluorescence and light emitting diode light bulbs. And I mean, LEDs come in everything now. I've even seen ones that look like the old Edison light bulbs that you can get. They're LEDs, but they flicker, and for candelabras and stuff like that. It's amazing what they've done with LEDs, and they're easy to adjust levels on it. So if you have a controller in your house where you can raise your light or lower your light, LEDs are not affected by that. Though they work real well with that kind of resistor. Next slide. Look for your Energy Guy sticker. These yellow stickers are real important. It's not an exact science, but it gives you a very good predictor of what your energy cost will be over a year for that appliance. So you want to look for the one with the lowest amount of cost over a year that gives you everything that you're looking for, and make sure that it has the Energy Star sticker on it. It's been certified, it's been tested, and that's a government certification. So there's no bones about it that you need to look at one of those. Try to replace one old appliance. Refrigerators, big thing in it. The new refrigerators use so little energy now, but let you put a lot more stuff into them. And most of the new ones come with LED lights. They're nice and bright and clean lit inside. They're amazing what they've done with them. Washing machines are another big one. Water heaters are really big. But if you're going to replace one, make sure that you look at the Energy Guide. Make sure it has the Energy Star signature on it, and get the one that fits your needs with the lowest dollar amount on it. Next slide. Replace the thermostat with a programmable thermostat. Again, they've made them easier. I just bought a new Nest one. I set it up with my phone. It even told me which wires to hook up with it and everything. As I say, if I'm going away for hours during the day, I just hit the eco button on it, and it sets it at what the government recommends, the numbers on it. And I can dial in on, I can connect it with my phone on the way home if it's a hot day, and turn the air conditioner up so that when I come in the house, it's not hot and I'll have to sit here and sweat while I wait for the air conditioner to cool off. Makes life a lot easier, and it saves you a lot of money in the long run. Next slide. This is the radiant barriers I was talking about. Is this the way it's installed in your house, Dee?
Yes, that's what I think that's how it is.
We've done a couple of houses. It's amazing how much it will reduce it. Good way to tell if you've got a problem up in your attic. In the middle of summer, go up there and see what the temperature is. If you open up the attic and go up into it and it knocks you back, you've got a problem. You need more insulation in there. This is a very inexpensive way to do it, and almost anybody can do it. Sometimes it requires laying on your back for a couple hours while you stick it up there. Just staple it up with a stapler, but it's easy to do. Biggest thing you have to look for in your attic is whether it's a vented or non-vented attic. If you've got the on the outside, you look around your roof and your soffit has got holes in it, it's most likely a vented attic. You don't want to run the barrier over and close up that ventedness, because you could trap moisture inside and have a mold and mildew problem later on. Keep those vents open. Same thing when you're doing blown-in insulation. Make sure that most of them use cardboards or a thin piece of wood to hold the insulation back so that the vents keep working. Make sure that you don't blow over those and down into the soffit area, because you'll clog up your attic. if you get a moisture problem up there, it can rot your wood and you can have a whole lot more problems, especially in a hurricane. Next slide. This is what we're talking about on color schemes. We recommend that the light reflective value be 50 or greater. And in colors out there now have gotten really every color in the rainbow that you can get. And on the back of each of those cards, it'll usually show you what the light reflective value is. Look for a color that's above 50. You can still stay in warm colors and be at 50 or above. But especially in roof colors, if you're getting a shingle or you're getting a steel roof, make sure that you stay at that above 50 number so that you reflect that heat back off your house instead of absorbing it into your house. Next slide. Energy. Your shower uses 37.37% of most of the energy in the house. So it behooves you, if the first thing you're going to replace is your water heater, to reduce it. And not only that, look for one that may have a timer in it. If you're gone 8 hours a day at work, you know, there's no sense in it having to run all day long, keeping your water at whatever temperature it is. If you can get by with 125 degrees in the shower, turn it down to 125 degrees. A lot of these come in at 130, 135 from the factory. It's a real simple dial thing. But water heaters use a lot. Next slide, please. Outside, we all want lights out now. We want to protect our yards and everything else, but install lights with a motion or light sensor so that they're not on all night long. Also, there are new LED outdoor lights, and they will really light up your yard and show you if something's out there and everything, and they use very little energy. So if you're putting lights up outside for protection, make sure you have a motion or light sensor with it. Next slide. Here's one that a lot of people don't think of, and I don't know if FPL is still doing it. You can check with them, but they were doing free duct smoke tests for people to reduce your energy in the house, especially in an older home. If it's had work done or people have been up in the attic, it can have holes in it or it wasn't installed correctly. If you're leaking your air conditioning and your heating out of these ducts and it's not getting in the house, you're wasting energy. You can get, for less than $50, somebody to come in and do a smoke test into even an existing home. One person gets up in the attic while the other one blows pressurized smoke, and it's vegetable type stuff, and it won't hurt you or anything. But they can see if there's a leak, and they can go up there and seal it so that you have a good, efficient, working duct system in your house. Next slide. This is where we talk about a set timer water heater. If you buy a new one, it doesn't come with a timer on it. You can probably get the plumber when he's installing it to hook in a timer for you. And then you set it so that an hour before you're going to use it in the morning, it comes on, it works, and it goes off an hour after you go out of the house. And then again, it comes on maybe 6 o'clock in the evening, so that you've got hot water when you take all your showers in the night. So it will reduce your energy cost. Next slide.
Bill?
Yes.
For the water heater timer, that just applies to not a tankless one, correct?
No, tankless ones only operate when you use them. So they're great savings. Gas ones, electric ones, I'm still not sold on that they're going to save you any energy, because it takes, when you turn on your heater during the winter, how much your electric bill jumps up. Well, it's going to be the same thing. If you're heating that water, even for a short period of time, it's probably going to, I don't know if you're going to have that great savings, and I don't know how dependable they are with the water we have here in Florida with all the chemicals and stuff. If you're not really cleaning it all the time to make sure it's not gathering up in the tubing system, you could be replacing it every year, and I don't really recommend it. The gas ones we've used, and we've used them a lot in commercials, and I've not had any complaint with them, and everybody says that they work really, really well, and it's reduced their energy costs a lot.
Thanks.
Ceiling fans. We all have ceiling fans here in Florida, and we recommend them. It's a way of cooling your house down without having to turn on the air conditioner on those days when you can open up the house and get a little breeze in the house and everything else. We're starting to see Energy Star ceiling fans come out. So if you're replacing a ceiling fan, or you're buying new ceiling fans, look for Energy Star ceiling fans. You'll get a better bang for your buck. We recommend in new homes that they have 2 windows on different walls in each room with a ceiling fan, so you can get cross air ventilation on those days when it's not too hot or it's not too cold, that you can air out your house and get some fresh air in there. Next slide. Weatherizing your home. Replace weather stripping on exterior doors. I don't know how many houses that I've gone out as a home inspector, and the first thing I do is when I come into a house, I close the door and see if I see light. And almost every single one I've ever gone into, you can see light. The weather stripping's bad. It needs to be replaced. You've got air getting out and cold air coming in. Remove the HVAC vent covers, diffusers, and install gaskets or caulk behind them and reinstall them. Again, if they're on top of a wood floor or they're on top of carpeting, the air can be blowing out underneath the carpeting instead of coming up through the diffuser, so you're wasting energy that way. Remove recessed can trims around lighting and install gaskets or caulk behind them and reinstall. Same thing, pot light ceiling lights, pot lights. A lot of people do not install gaskets with them, and your heat is escaping from your house into your attic, and your attic air in the summertime, the heat's getting into your house. If you put a gasket on it, you can stop that. Same thing with electrical outlets. A lot of walls are vented to the attic, and same thing. You can get a lot of escape of your energy out through those covers. So it's real inexpensive. Usually 2 screws to take them off, put the gasket on, put them back on. You'll save a lot of energy there. Water saving tips. This is a big one. Fix leaky faucets. You're wasting water, up to 200 gallons of water every day. Sometimes all it is a washer. Sometimes the whole faucet needs to be replaced. If you're replacing the faucet, make sure that you get one that's got a water sense or water star label on it, because you're going to get a good working faucet, but it's going to use less water. Take a power shower. 10 to 25 gallons in a shower. Use up to 70 gallons in a tub full of water. Limit your showers to 5 minutes, or do like those of us who have RVs. Get one of those hand wands that has a button on it that shuts the water off. So you get yourself wet, soak down, turn the water back on, shower it off. You'll save an immense amount of water. I think in the future here, we're going to really start seeing critical. You've seen all the counties and everything else make you, starting this time of year, limit your amount of watering that you can do landscaping. Pretty soon they're going to start limiting how much water you can use in your house. So if you get used to limiting yourself now, it'll be better in the future. Get Energy Star appliances. Any electrical appliance you get an Energy Star appliance. You'll save more money. If you have to, and I'm not saying you have to do these, but if you have a toilet that's not performing, or you just don't like the look of it, you want one of the nicer looking new toilets, make sure that it uses 1.6 gallons or less per flush. Usually we recommend dual flush ones. So if you got a light load in it, you just press the light button. If you get a heavy load, you press the second button, which opens up the trap more. But it'll use less water. Usually on the one flush, it's 1.1, and on the dual flush, it's 1.6. Florida-friendly landscaping. A lot of people don't know about this, and it's a program out of University of Florida, and you can go to it on the internet. Look, just type in Florida-friendly landscaping, and it'll take you to it. But they will show you plants that are native to Florida that exist here and live on just the rainwater it gets if you plant them in the right place and at the right time of year. They don't require fertilizing. If you put mulch around them, they'll live in even better, because the mulch will absorb water and it'll keep the ground moist around it. They attract wildlife, butterflies, hummingbirds. I don't know how many of you have them, but we got a lot of butterflies, and especially the hummingbirds. Are a blast to sit here in the morning drinking a cup of coffee and watching them out there on our Florida-friendly landscape. We don't have as many yard pests that will eat those plants here in Florida. We have a few, but they can be controlled. Recycle. use that old mulch and put it into a mulch basket and reuse it in your yard, so that you keep your yard fertilized without having to bring in fertilizer. Reduce stormwater runoff. Create some dip areas, trenches that, your water, when it comes off the house, if you're not collecting it in rain barrels, that you can send it to a depression area where it will get down through the turf, down through the land, and get back into it. Don't let it run out into the street. When it gets out in the street, it gathers oil and all sorts of other chemicals, and it usually goes into a sewer and then goes out into the ocean. We don't want that. And protect the waterfront. If you have a waterfront home, let's not put grass all the way down to the water. Let's have 10 foot of it as mulch or some other native landscape, so that if you're fertilizing your yard, it won't get into the water stream and create more problems. Any questions on this one? This one usually has a couple of questions.
We have some questions, but they're not specifically. Well, here's a rainwater one from Jen.
Okay.
She says, who does the, regarding rainwater collection, who does the work to change gutters to barrels? Does sitting water in the water barrel pose any problems?
Well, you don't want to use city water in rain barrels because it defeats the purpose. Remember, city water is going to be treated with chemicals. They have to, because it sits in large areas and they don't want bacteria in it, so they use it. Rainwater that comes off your roof, you'll have to put in your own gutters, but there's plenty of installers out there, and it's really not that hard. And as I say, we're starting to look at reusing this water a lot, and on our brand new home standards that will be out in January, we actually show a model picture of one, how to set one up, and we've got some links there that you can go look at that will give you more information. But yeah, we don't want to store city water in rain barrels because all you're doing is collecting chemical water. And I don't know if you've noticed, I've always noticed, but if I water my yard from city water, the grass doesn't do as well. But after a rainstorm, it gets real nice and green and lush. Why is that? Chemicals.
And Bill, I think I just didn't enunciate well enough. It was sitting water. Sitting
water. Okay. Well, the rain barrels, we tell you what rain barrels to use. One, we want dark colored ones. And a lot of times there's a lot of places that are selling these white barrels. You see them on the side of the street for $10 and everything. If you're going to use that for rain collection, paint it dark, because if you leave it light, the light from the sun will actually create bacteria in it, and you're going to have a green sludge in it. You don't want that. Sitting water, I don't know what to do with that. Sitting water causes so many problems because, again, it grows bacteria, it produces mosquitoes and stuff like that. There's a problem with the soil underneath that it's not percolating down through. If you got a problem with sitting water, I would think about digging it up, maybe putting a little gravel and then some dirt down, try to get that water where it'll go down and percolate into the system. I don't know if you can find them anymore, but we used to have these rods that you could get that you could go around your yard and stamp down in the ground to percolate your yard so that water would get down through into the root system. Might try that too. But sitting water is a problem. It's a health hazard. And if it's adjacent to your property, call your city or county about it. Did that answer the question? Was that kind of sitting water you were talking about?
No, she meant in the barrel. So like when the rain barrel fills up with water, is there a problem if you don't get the water out right away?
Oh, no. That's why I say if you use a dark barrel that the light can't get through, and you put a screen over the top where water comes in, that keeps some of the trash out, and it also keeps mosquitoes from breeding into it. No, that water can sit for a long time. There's no problem there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Next slide. Change rubber hoses to reinforced hoses. Why is this important? Seems like always when you go on vacations, when a water hose or something in the house breaks and causes a disaster when you come home from vacation. Reinforced hoses will last a lot longer. There's less chance of having a leak or a break in your water line. That'll save you a lot of water damage and a lot of higher bills if you change those out. It's not a big cost to do those. Replace shower heads. You can go to the next one. Shower heads with 2 gallon per minute GPM or less rate shower heads. This used to be something, even I hated it. When low flow shower heads first came out, you'd have to sit under them for half an hour to get all the soap off you. The new ones will just about knock you out of the shower. They're so powerful. So it's not a problem anymore. If you look for good ones, and I have found YouTube be a great place to go look at something before I buy it to see what other people are saying about it, when they unpack it, what comes in the package and how they perform. So you can always check these things online to see what kind of comments are about them. You can pick out something that looks nice, that uses less water, and will clean you off while you're in the shower. Next slide. Same thing with aerators on bathroom faucets. You can convert old ones by buying aerators. These new ones use air with the water to give you a good stream of water to clean your hands with and clean sink out with and everything. You won't notice that much difference, but it uses half the water that you had used before. Next slide. Replace clothes washer with Energy Star label appliance with water factor less than or equal to 3.7. It's kind of hard to find what the water factor are in some of these washers. There for a while, all of them were listed out. And notice Whirlpool, it's almost impossible to find it anymore. If it's got the Energy Star label on it, it is less than or equal to 3.7. It has been tested. That's one of the criteria for Energy Star label. But these new washing machines are very, very efficient. We're using a lot less water and getting your clothes cleaner if you use the new soaps with it. A lot of people ask me, I got this and it doesn't work. I'm having to wash my clothes 2 or 3 times. And I ask them if they get the low energy soaps that are out there to use with it. Most of them come in little packets and everything. No, I just use the same old soap I use. That's the problem. Those soaps are made to dissolve quickly and produce the low suds that you need to clean with on here. Next slide. Dishwashers. Big time energy savings on these new ones. And they're so quiet. I just replaced mine recently. It did a great job until it finally started. It broke one day, it just clicked and I couldn't use it again. But I had to turn the television up loud and everything else, and the amount of water it used. The new ones, you can put a small load in. They have an echo setting that you can put on that uses half the water for a small load. So you can actually run these every day and still use less energy than the old ones use and not run you out of the house when they're running. Next slide. Toilets, dual flush or single flush. Again, we recommend the dual flush ones because a lot of people feel like they have to have that extra flush, and when you need it, you need it. But when you're just using it for for small things, the low setting on it saves you a lot of water. A lot of these new ones are aerated especially, and they've created new special moldings on it to smooth it out. Toto advertises theirs, we can flush a volleyball, and they will. So you can just have to look at them, go online, see what the opinions are, but look for the water sense label or look at the actual flush level on it. I noticed that Lowe's started setting theirs up by flushability from weakest to strongest up on their shelves. So if you need that heavy duty flush, but you still want to save water, go to the number 10 aisle. Next slide. If you have an irrigation system on your house, you should have one of these on your house. Almost every county now is requiring it. If you don't, get one. If it's raining and your sprinkler system's running out there, 2 things can happen. You can be fine, or this thing's not working, replace it. But you just don't need to water your yard while it's raining outside. This is very, very important to saving water out here. I know everybody that has a St. Augustine yard wants to have an irrigation system so that it stays nice and lush and green. But let's not needlessly water when we don't need to. Next slide. You should have a programmable controller so that whenever the local requirements come out and say you can only water on odd days or on Tuesdays and Thursdays or Wednesdays and Fridays, that you can set it up in it so that you don't have to go out there every day and try to remember, am I supposed to water today or not? You can set it up here. It's all automatic. Here's a good one. Replace a minimum of 200 square feet of turf with Florida-friendly plants. And this picture is of a yard with Florida-friendly plants in it. It's nice looking. But we reduce the amount of grass. Grass is one of the biggest users of Florida that we have here in this state, along with Australian pines and a few other things that don't belong here in Florida. If you can go out there and you do this on your own, or you can have a landscape architects look for one that has Water Star commercial certified. They can come out and show you what plants to put in. Or you can call your Florida-friendly yards and neighbor representatives. Every county in Florida has one. You can look it up under the county thing, or call UF and they'll tell you who it is. They'll be glad to come out and tell you where's the best area maybe to dig up and put some of these Florida-friendly plants in that will save you on watering and be better for the environment. Next slide. This is what we mean by the rain barrel. This one, you can see the top is kind of closed off, but a lot of people like to just go buy cheap barrels like you see on the right side. You'll notice what they have on top is a piece of leftover screen, or you can go buy at Lowe's a foot or two of screen. You put it on the top, and just you can either screw it to the side, or you can get a big rubber band put around it, and that'll keep the mosquitoes from laying larvae inside. That one's white. We don't recommend white. We recommend dark green, black, or some that look like they're terracotta, the orange ones. They usually have a coating on them. They do not let sunlight into it, so they will not produce bacteria in them. But they're real easy to put together. You can run the spout over the top like the one on the right with the screen over it. It just goes all in. That keeps all the leaves and the gravel out of it. You have a faucet at the bottom that you can hook to a hose and water your plants with it, or you can drain it out. And, every once in a while, if you've got a real rainy season and you're afraid of any bacteria, you can drain it out, clean it, and then let it reflow up. But simple thing to put around at the corners of your house to use in your gardens or around your plants and all. And I think the plants will like it better than what you're using from the city. Next slide. Add a pool cover on existing pool system. A lot of people think this was to keep the pool warmer. No, this is to keep the pool from evaporating up into the atmosphere. Pools can evaporate very quickly in the summer here, and you're having to refill them all the time, refill them all the time, refill them all the time. That's drinking water going out to your swimming pool. Put a cover over it to reduce the amount of evaporation on it. Plus, in the summertime, it will make it a little bit warmer inside if you get one of the Energy Star ones. Next slide. Water, exterior. Have an irrigation professional perform a checkup on existing irrigation systems. How many houses I go around to and I see water shooting up in the air, or you see water across the sprinkler system watering the sidewalk or the street, or permanently abandoned existing irrigation system. If you turn over some of your yard to Florida natural, the existing landscape, you get rid of that irrigation system, not have to worry about it. If you're hooked to city water, I don't know that it's doing you as much good, and it's costing you a lot of money. Some areas have got the reuse water. Down in West Palm Beach, when it first came out, my brother thought, oh, this is great. I don't have to pay as much, and I can keep my yard nice. By the time he left there, he said he was paying more for the reuse water than he was for his regular water. So, I mean, it's a toss-up. But we actually give 10 bonus points in our certification for not having an irrigation system. They require a lot of maintenance. They use a lot of water, and and people just have a hard time programming them properly. Next slide. Things to consider for health. I've tried to put a couple of pictures here of what to look for in green seals, low VOC seals. That if you're getting new filters or you're buying a paint, your flooring, look for the green seal certified stamp on it. That means that it's got very low VOC, so you got very little chemical off gas or no chemical off gas. And generally with floor products, especially wood and stuff, it means it's coming from a sustainable forest. Meaning for every tree they cut down, they plant 2 new trees, and they keep rotating their forest, so the forest never gets leveled. So we always have more wood that we can get. Colors, again, you're looking for lighter colors so that will reflect the heat back off instead of absorbing heat. House filters, we recommend a minimum of a MERV 8. And most of them will tell you on, do list the MERVs now. A lot of people think the higher number, the better. Don't go putting a MERV 13 system in unless you check with whoever installed your HVAC to see if it will work with a MERV 13. You have to have a very good system to work with a MERV 13 because it's so finely put together that very little air gets through it. And if you're choking off your system, it will not cool and heat properly. But MERV 8s will work with 99% of all the HVAC systems out there right now. And it will filter a great deal out of your air. Again, flooring, look for the green seal and look for certified forest. Carpeting, look for the green seal. That means that you won't be smelling that carpet for the rest of your life. Next slide. Things to consider for your materials. We like to look for materials that are here local instead of bringing them from outside. That means we don't have to put them on a truck, ship them down here, pollute the air, use more fossil fuels to get it here. So we look for buying everything within a 750-mile radius of where you live. Look for green certified materials. That means it's been produced properly, that the forest has been tended, that they're doing recycling the way they should. And if you're getting rid of something, look for a place to take your material that it's going to be recycled so it can be reused and producing new materials. If you do those 3 things, you'll be saving a lot. How about survivability? We're one of the only organizations that talks about disaster mitigation. And here in Florida, it's a very, very important thing. Even some of our thunderstorms come in here with 60+ mile-an-hour winds. Those are winds that would tear houses up north down. We live with on a day-to-day basis. So we look at the survivability of your house. The windows and doors. Don't buy just any old window or door just because they say it's energy efficient. Do a little research and find out from the wind pressure loads it'll take if it's going to work in your house. Make sure that it's installed by a certified installer so that they install it properly. A lot of people don't realize that you have to have at least 2 screws into a surface that is going to hold it on each side of the window. So that's a total of 8 points that has to be attached inside your house. A certified installer will also check to make sure that the frame that it's being installed in is serviceable still. Structural tie downs, your HVAC system, make sure that it is tied down to the cement block that it's on or the pad it's on. If it's just sitting on the pad, it can blow off in a heavy storm. If it blows off and it breaks that copper line, you're letting a very volatile organic compound into the air, that's Freon, which we don't want. So make sure, and plus what it's going to cost you to service it's going to be very expensive. People don't think about backup power. A lot of people talk about generators. Here in Florida, we really need them. We found out last year during the hurricanes, people had solar on their house and thought that after the hurricane, when the power went out, they'd be okay because they still have solar. No, they don't have a backup power supply, so their solar was feeding into dead lines, and they still had no electric. Make sure you have some way of backing up your power system. Either we show a Generac, or you can get a generator that'll at least run your refrigerator, your television, your radio, so that you can listen to emergency and news and everything else. Think about a safe room in your house. In smaller homes, that's probably going to be a bathroom without a window. And and what you're going to do when you go in there. If you've got a tornado coming through, try to bring in a mattress and throw over the top of you. There have been a lot of people survive tornadoes by laying in the tub with the mattress over the top of them when their house was totally destroyed. But think about a safe room. If you've got something that you can permanently always is a safe room, you can store supplies in there and everything in case you're going to be without electric, water, and stuff like that for any lengthy period of time. But here in Florida, you have to think about what happens when the big one comes. And that we want you thinking about those things. Same thing, go out and look at your garage door and see if it's been hurricane prep, if it's got the braces in it to protect it. Those things are thin and can come off in a heartbeat. Once you get an opening into your house, your roof can come off your house. Preparation, educate. We've got lots of education things and brochures on our sites. There's also lots of other ones. There's organizations like WD. There's places around here in Volusia County. The county gives briefings all the time over at the Learning Center that are free to the public, that you can go and get educated on things, learn how to do gardening and set up a garden. 10-foot square foot garden can supply a house of 5 all year long if it's done right and use the right products. Research new products or procedures. Just don't go out and buy the newest thing because you see it on television. Go online, do some research in it before you spend the money on it. We hate to see you waste a lot of money on something. Solar water heaters were something that were talked about a lot. We still recommend them, but the wrong people were installing them. They leaked, they destroyed roofs and stuff like that. Do some preparation and some research and make sure that if you have somebody installing it, they're properly licensed to come in and do the job right. Next slide. Get involved. Tell others. If you find something that works really good and reduces your electric bill, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your family. Get them all involved. The more we save, the better, the longer we're going to enjoy our time here in Florida, and the better we'll feel about our homes. So get involved. Our organization, we talked, Dee talked about her organizations. Our organization, our membership fee, if you just want to come in and be part of it and see what's going on and just to find out about it, is $25 a year. It's not a big expense. It helps us out a little bit by, in CJ having to put you on a committee that you want to research on and everything. But there are different levels in there to get into it. As I say, look to see what your county is doing for free at their learning centers, or go sit in on one of their sustainability meetings and see what they're actually talking about. If they're talking about sustainability, if they're talking about making your neighborhoods better, but get involved. Next slide. Our retrofit guidelines, it's not a certification status, but you can do a certification on an existing home, but you have to do major refit. Basically, we're talking about a new roof, new HVAC, and new wiring in your house to get it. You've got to gain 100 points, just like an ERV certification. Our last, it was released in 2012. It's fairly easy to get 100 points, and it does some really good things. So if you're interested in it, you can look at it. Just go to the certification category. You come down to our homes guidelines, and it'll show you in there what you have to do to it. But it is a way of, it may help you with resale of your home if you have the recognition from us that you did these things, and the certificate will tell what you did to make your house more green. So there's a way that you can get at least a recognition for it. If you go through the complete retrofit, I'd say with HVAC, you do the HERS certification on it and get your 100 points, then you can actually get a certification. The green realtors like Dee are working real hard to make sure that the green MLS is getting up and getting better all the time. We're working with our members, our green members in FGBC, to try to get our database to line up with the database for the MLS, so that if you get a green certification, it registers with the green MLS. So later on, if you go to sell your house, it tells the real estate agent exactly what's been done to the house to make it green, what those improvements were, and probably help you sell your house a little bit better. Next slide. And you can always find us. You can call our office at that number, or write down the email address and you contact CJ or Mary. They'll be glad to answer any questions. Or if you're just interested, please go to our website and look at it and go through there. As I say, if you're interested in, you want to help, or you want to see what's going on in the state of Florida, as I say, $25 a year is not a bad deal to become a friend of FGBC and find out more about what's going on. Questions?
Great, thank you. Yeah, we have a few questions. So Jean-Michel is asking, what are typical HERS range to expect in new construction?
I'm seeing, if it's a greenhouse, below 55. Now the score goes from 0 to 100, but here in the state of Florida, they're requiring 80 as a minimum score. We're requiring a minimum score of 75 under our certification standards. But I'm seeing most of the houses that we've certified below, 54 and below.
Okay. Okay, then from Annie, she said, how do you manage yard pests responsibly? A lot of condo complexes apply a lot of toxic herbicides and pesticides. No.
Well, we push the Florida friendly yard. If you put a Florida friendly yard in, you almost never have to fertilize or put anything toxic on it. But when you're working with the HOAs and stuff like that, I'm sorry. All you can do is keep talking to them. We've been trying to get our foot in the door with them to show them better ways of doing things. I mean, it's like this picture in the background. All the roofs are dark. And that just, to me in Florida, it makes no sense whatsoever. And it just absorbs heat. So your attic's going to be hot. And where's all the ductworks in Florida homes? In the attic. So automatically you have to cool down your ductwork before it cools down your house. I mean, but most HOAs want these dark colors on their homes. I don't understand why. The same thing. They always want St. Augustine yards. You've got senior moment for a second. Zoysia and you can look on our site. There's 3 types of grasses out there to use they're not native to Florida. Native Florida grass is what we call cattle grass, and that's not, it doesn't look real great in your yard. But there are 3 different types of grass: Bahia and Bermuda. Zoysia, Bahia, and Bermuda use the least amount of rain to keep them green and going. During the winter, they're going to get a little bit brown, but as soon as we get our first rains come in, they turn green overnight. You don't have to use a lot of fertilizer, if ever fertilize them. My Zoysia yard, I've never fertilized out there. And, I may do a little fertilizer this year because I'm starting to get a little bit of weed growth, but not much. It's been in for about 5 years now.
That's great to hear. A bunch of people have been asking about how to access the recording. Is this something that's going to be available publicly or just internally at GBC?
It's going to be on our Green Trends site, but I think you have to be a member to be on the Green Trends site. Is that right, CJ?
No, that's not right. Actually, we'll post this on our homepage for a while, and then it'll migrate over to the Green Trends. But Green Trends is not is an open site, so it's just www.greentrends.org.
Okay, and then the PowerPoint, is that going to be available, or is that something that will be on the Green Trends page?
They'll both. So once this recording is done, we will put it on our website, floridagreenbuilding.org, which you've got there, and it'll include a copy of the PowerPoint as well. And then eventually it'll migrate over to Green Trends, where it'll be housed permanently.
Great. Any other questions? Oh, and Annie just wanted to say rain gardens are good ways to cope with sitting water. Very true.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure. No questions.
Usually that's a sign, if it sits for quite a while, that you've got something blocking it. I know a lot of builders in the old days used to bury all their excess waste in the yard. And if you dig down a little bit, you might find that that's what's causing the water to sit there for a long time period.
Okay, well, I guess that's all the questions.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. I hope I gave some information that everybody can use in their homes.
Oh, definitely. I took 3 pages of notes, and I've already done your workshop once before, so. Yeah, so thank you once again, and thanks everybody for joining. I hope you all got some good ideas, and make sure to check out all the different resources that we provided tonight. All right, bye everybody.
Thanks, Steve.